Hello and welcome to Sibos 2018 in Sydney. I'm Hannah Wallace, and with me now is Stephen Gilderdale of Swift to talk about the standardisation of APIs across the industry. Hello Stephen, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Pleasure.
How are you enjoying the event so far?
It's been a great event, and particularly the new Discover Zone that we have with InnoTribe and our fintech vendors is certainly energetic and is proving a good success. So, yep, very happy.
And now we've heard a lot about the potential of APIs at Sibos this year, particularly from banks and fintechs, but it'd be great to hear Swift's view on them.
Well, I think like any technology, APIs are both an enabler and a catalyst, and it's no different for the financial services industry. There's certainly a technology which allows banks to open up and to disaggregate their products and services and to allow collaboration with fintechs. And I think that the regulator also sees the advantage of this in terms of competition. A number of geographies, open banking has been pushed quite strongly, and APIs is a key enabler for that. But at the same time, the pace of change and the pace of adoption of APIs has meant that there's a great deal of fragmentation. And the fragmentation leads to issues in terms of straight-through processing, in terms of data loss, and that's why we think we have a role to play in terms of standardization.
And talking about your role at Swift, you've been involved in API standardization efforts, so can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. We've taken a role to standardise in a number of different areas. We announced recently that we've been working with Stet and Berlin Group in Europe to build standards around open banking. Here in Australia as well, we publicised last week that we've been working with MPP to provide a set of APIs around access to the MPP platform. And the reason that we're doing this is it allows us to keep consistency in the information which has been included in the API calls, and make sure that we don't, frankly, go back 15, 20 years to a situation where there was a lot of fragmentation, where there was a lot of proprietary standards, which meant that there were problems with processing, there was data which was being lost, and there was inefficiency in things like sanction screening and compliance. So we really feel there's a role for Swift to play here in keeping harmonization of the APIs.
Fantastic. And finally, why are common data standards so important, and how will they benefit other players across the financial ecosystem?
Well, as I said, it's important to keep consistency with standards which are used worldwide, and ISO 20022 is being deployed in many different areas by market infrastructures, payment schemes, CSDs across the world. Swift has announced as well that there will be a migration to ISO 20022 for cross-border payments. So banks operate in a very complex environment. They deal with many different counterparties, and this will only increase with an ecosystem of fintechs and technology vendors. So it's important that APIs, when they are designed, actually remain consistent with the rest of the world, that when you describe a beneficiary name or you describe a country, that you do that in a consistent way, so that data is not lost, so that processing can be straight through, and as I mentioned before, so that things like compliance for sanction screening, etc., can be done in an efficient way.
Well, Stephen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for watching.